Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and joined as always by 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
And today we're doing a top 10 list. I've also kind of put mine in tiers. I don't know if you've done that or not. We'll find out as we discuss things. But top 10 cards in standard format right now with Black Bolt and White Flare, right? Did I get those set names right, by the way?
Yes, we are. However, it's not the top 10 cards. It's the top 10 Pokemon specifically.
Oh, yes.
And because if it was the top 10 cards, most of them, if not all of them, would be like trainers. And the list is, I don't know if boring is the right word, but obviously there's a lot more Pokemon. I think it's a bit of a more interesting discussion here. When people think of the good cards in the game as well, I think they often think of Pokemon. And then if you have a list of all trainers, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like if you did a top 10 list, like every list would have near the top like boss and research, right? And that's just
Iono, yeah. I'd say Iono is above research definitely at the moment. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about here today.
no, it's Pokemon. So and yes, and we didn't really discuss the criteria for this. So I guess we'll kind of consider criteria as we're talking about the cards, right?
Yeah. There's definitely obviously with trainers they're all support. But then with Pokemon, there's some support Pokemon and some attacking Pokemon. I have both on my list. I imagine you do as well. But yeah, I've not looked at yours yet, so I'm gonna go pull that up and you can take a look at mine as well.
Yep, I will do that. Oh, whoa, you got scores on yours. So
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. I see what you did. So so we didn't look at them. We sent them to each other in Discord, spoilered, and yours had a bunch of like blank space on the side or like black space. I wasn't sure what that was about, but now I see how you divide them up into tiers. Budew and Ogerpon, TMS Ogerpon EX, I see on the side here. And they are not in tiers.
So those
right?
are my honorable mentions. They're not in the top 10.
Okay.
So which I didn't put them in tiers. I don't know. They might still be on the third tier. I don't really know.
Okay. And then mine here, I have 10, and I have numbers. So I think I told you about this, but I've been like ranking Pokemon, a lot of the Pokemon and cards in the game, on a scale, inspired somewhat by, I've been watching a YouTube series, and it's like a thing in general. I don't play Madden, but their Madden has ratings, and then there's like out of 99, so I've been rating cards out of 99. I have 10 tiers. I'll read you the tiers quickly before we start, so that you can get annoyed about that. And then it also kind of explains how exactly my thoughts are on these. The tiers are, well, every 10. So if it's in the 90s, I say it's like broken / ban worthy. 80s is very strong. 70s is competitively good. 60s is competitively average. 50s is competitively weak. 40 is solid. 30 is mediocre. 20 is weak. 10 is very bad. And if it's in like the zeros or the 10 below 10, it's like unplayably bad. Like unplayable for like casual play. But yeah,
Okay.
so this is the rating here. So 79 is my lowest card here. 88 is my highest card. Is a substantial difference here. But not like crazy, but it's a whole tier difference. You have a bunch of different tiers here. But do you think all the ones on your same tier are like the same as each other?
No. Some are more different than others, and maybe I should have had a fourth tier. Honestly, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So, but we could talk about that as we get into the cards. I think there's breaks here. So I think the bottom tier is more grouped together. I think the top tier is where things maybe spread out a little bit, in my opinion. For me.
So I guess I see some things on yours, but let's talk about the number one here, Fezandipiti. You want to start us off with that?
Sure. So Fezandipiti EX, awesome Pokemon, has an attack that I still say could be viable, but pretty much I don't use it, right? But the ability to flip the script, right? If your Pokemon's knocked out last turn, which is happening often, you draw 3 cards. So just draw 3 cards is good, right? Is the like to make fun of draw 3 supporters saying they're bad, and they're not bad, but there's better supporters, but it's still a good effect. So having that on an ability, not an on-play just sits there on your bench and hopefully doesn't give up 2 prizes for your opponent to win the game. But it's super awesome. It's basically in every deck, right? Because there are certain cards which are deck specific, certain cards are universal. Fezandipiti's very universal and very good.
Yeah, it's a good card. And yeah, as you said, universal, easy to put in. It is one thing that is, I guess, a knock against it I think the only thing that you could say is bad about it is you only want to play one copy. You can't use more than one of it. You could say like, oh, if this card is so good, why doesn't? I don't think I've ever seen any list ever with multiple Fezandipiti EXs. I'm sure it exists out there, but I have not seen it. Have you seen it?
Not really, no. It's not. I mean, yeah, like you said, somebody's done it, but pretty much it's not a thing. And we don't have a Suian Heavy Ball in format, which means yes, there's a supporter that does stuff, but basically, if it's prized, you can't access it. So, in one sense, if it is so good, why don't you do two copies so you can essentially always have it?
Yeah, and it's also a very good Pokemon to have in play. And also, I will say games don't completely revolve around it or anything like that, but they do somewhat revolve around it, where it's a Pokemon that is able to like obviously draw you cards, get you out of like weird situations, and just super good. And so people often target it, and then you don't have it. So if you had two in play, you'd be guaranteed to have Fezandipiti EX on your next turn. Which again, like people aren't doing. Not that I think it should be a two of index either. And I mean, as you haven't done it, but it is very good. And it's like it's HP solid. Its retreat cost is like solid or solid to good for what it is. So I'd say
Yeah.
it like checks all the boxes they were looking for in a card. Obviously, it's not, as we'll talk about with some of these different cards here, it's not the most impactful card in any deck it's in either. Um, though I'd say it is pretty impactful in every deck it's in still. It's versatile and strong.
Yeah, I mean, it's less impactful in that it doesn't help you set up, right? Your opponent has to take a prize, so and you have to be usually have to be somewhat set up before they take the prize. So, the fact that if you're both kind of dead drawing, pheasant dipping in play doesn't help you. The one retreat cost is super good. I will say, you said, and this is where I'll kind of I'll criticize how you put these numbers in. Probably you're expecting this is you see these cards are kind of ban worthy. I would I
No,
think
no, no, no. The
that's
90s are ban worthy.
the 90s. Okay. I apologize. So okay, so Pheasant Dippy is close to that, but not quite there. All right, that's fair enough. I mean, Pheasant Dippy, I wouldn't mind though if the HP was nerfed was nerfed a little bit. Honestly, making the card a little bit more of a liability in play. Right, bring it to like say 180 or something. I wouldn't mind that. Just makes it a little squishier and more dangerous to play, which wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, and I think and we'll talk about Squawkabilly. That's on both our lists here, which is a
Yeah.
squishy Pokemon. You have Pidgeot EX on your list as well, which is another squishy support Pokemon, and they're like a lot lower than the like Charizard. Obviously, has a bunch more HP than Pidgeot EX,
Yeah.
and that's because support Pokemon generally have lower HP. Fezandipiti kind of breaks the rules with that. It's not the biggest deal in the world. Like if you nerfed its HP to 180, as you said, it wouldn't be like bad or anything, but that seems a little more balanced. I don't think it's like a Pokemon that's ruining the game. I have heard people say that like they think it should be banned at points. Not, I don't agree with that, but I have heard that. And then I think we can move on to the. Oh, also, I said that it's not the main Pokemon in the deck. You said that it's like not the main draw engine, which is generally true, but also it's like not the main attacker. And like within a deck, the main attacker is like pretty much always the most important Pokemon, right? Well, okay, we're gonna talk about Gardevoir in a second, which is the most important Pokemon for Gardevoir, which is a box deck. But either it's the like I don't know, it's often the main attacker or the Pokemon that there's a main Pokemon in a deck usually.
Right, kind of built around. I mean, there's right. Well, other things which could be kind of like Gardevoir, where it's not what the deck's built around, but box style decks. Um, I had something to say and I forgot what it was, so I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. So, yeah. So go on to so Gardevoir. We both have that as number two, which is obviously just a deck specific card, right? It is Gardevoir, right? I don't think Gardevoir is in any deck that isn't called a Gardevoir deck. It's got an insane ability. Honestly, a better ability than Fezandipiti, really, but less universal.
Yeah.
Because it just unlimited energy acceleration is what it has in essence. Obviously, you're putting damage counters, and you have to get the energy to the discard pile, so you're balancing those things. But obviously, the attackers in the deck are taking advantage of the damage counters, right? Because of it. Which we talked about before. It's interesting how now the Pokemon like the damage counters. The early days with Gardevoir, you had attackers that wanted the energies but didn't like the damage counters. So it's an interesting swing. Now you have these low HP Pokemon that want damage counters. So just an awesome ability. Makes for good decks. I was playing against a Gardevoir deck today, and I think they won the game by attacking with Gardevoir. So you can attack with Gardevoir as well. It is a high, it's low HP for a stage 2 EX, but it's still a lot higher HP than any card in a Gardevoir deck.
Yeah. Except for the new, well, it is. Except now in the future, or now in Japan, there is the new Mega Gardevoir EX with even more HP, which is just kind of interesting. But
Yeah,
yeah, you want the damage counters on you, which is interesting. But then we're going to talk about Munkidori a little bit later on, and you kind of want to like heal it off. Well, you don't want to heal it off, but you do heal it off. So there's interesting
yeah.
dynamics there. And the acceleration allows you to have more versatility by like retreating easier. You generally aren't playing. How many switches are you playing in Gardevoir? I think you're playing like I don't
Yeah,
know.
not
You're playing
much.
some with like Turbo Scenario, so that's not like just a switch. It's not like the item switch, but you generally I'm pretty sure are playing how many copies? I don't know. It's played some. Oh, maybe it's not played that much in standard right now, but it is played some. But it's like a healing card there, more so. And then also you have something like I don't know. I mean, generally you have like a box style deck, so you do have other important pieces to the deck, like something like Screamtail, Lewis, Clefairy, EX, or other important cards there. But Gardevoir still is the backbone of that deck, and it's just like absurd energy acceleration. I will say, as you said, like you're focusing on the damage, and I don't know. I mean, the card's very good. I don't know exactly where I'm going to this, but it has a lot of like power behind it. I don't know if it's maximizing its power. I think in previous formats, like when it first came out, I think it was the decks around it might have been a little stronger, but now
Yeah.
Gardevoir isn't like again you're just getting damage counters on your Pokemon, but you're not taking advantage of the unlimited energy acceleration essentially. Um, not entirely, but it's still very very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, God of War list, I think they have shrunk the amount of energies they're playing in the decks now. I'm pretty certain. It'll be interesting to see with the Mega Gardevoir how that works. Right, the Gardevoir, it was really good. Dip some, it's gotten really strong again. Just because the box style decks makes it really good. And yeah, like Gardevoir is a box style deck. Obviously, you're not usually attacking with it. Miraidon EX in a sense is kind of what is a box style deck too, which you usually don't like to attack Miraidon EX. And we have the say Armarouge decks, which you don't want to attack with Armarouge, right? But again, box style decks are built around a Pokemon they're named after, but not the attacker. I think is the normal way those decks work.
Yeah, I guess. There's also stuff like I'd say, well, there's Terror Box, but it's like the main
Yeah,
Pokemon in Terror Box is kind of like knocked out in my opinion. So it's usually like a support Pokemon there. As you said,
right.
Miraidon, Armarouge, Gardevoir EX. But then yeah, you have the like with Terror Box, the attackers are Terras, and like the main one could be like the Water or Grippon or something. But
Right.
anyways, yeah.
And I was thinking like Arceus V-Star was a box style deck potentially, and that you did attack with Arceus, so that kind of there's always something that goes against the rule too.
Yeah, though that was a support Pokemon still. But yeah, then so I don't
Yeah.
think these are too controversial. I think Gardevoir, I mean, it is good. I don't know, I have it like at this 87 ranking, which is two above the next two I have here. I don't know. I think I'm trying to think because I've been working through this for a little while and have not solidified my ratings or anything. I feel like it could be even a little lower because I don't feel like it's well, you have it in the top tier here. So, like,
Yeah.
I guess we'll move on to your third one here, Drakloak. So how would you say these three
Well,
compare to each other in the tier below?
in Drakloak, and you have Dragapult as three. Okay, I think we
Yeah.
need to combine them. Right?
Uh-huh.
You don't agree?
Well,
I
I
mean,
kind of agree,
all
yeah,
right.
but um,
Because Dragapult's not as good without Dracloak either,
I agree. No,
right?
I agree. I agree.
So Dracloak is essential to the Dragapult, which is probably, and I could have put Dragapult or I could have put a split card, but I didn't want to do a split card, so I decided to make it a little more interesting. But the reason I went with Dracloak instead of Dragapult is I don't think Dragapult works without Dracloak because it's a good engine. And the other thing is there are decks, including some top decks lists I've seen that are using Dracloak for an engine, not in Dragapult decks. So Dracloak's more universal than Dragapult. So that's why I chose Dracloak rather than Dragapult. It didn't make sense to put them both in, even though you almost could put them both here separately too, make an argument for that as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you're putting Dracloak and not Dragapult because it's like interesting. Yeah, so obviously Dracloak good draw. Dragapult like really strong as an attacker, 200 active for
Yes.
two, and then 60 to the bench, and we like. Um, which is very good. Drakloak is like an okay draw engine. It's not bad letting you draw one of the top two cards of your deck. You can use multiple Drakloak, so it's a decent draw engine. Definitely there. I don't have any single prize draw engines. I have like some Fezandipiti EX and I also have Squawkabilly EX here. They're like draw cards, but I wouldn't quite call them full engines. Then I have Gholdengo, which is not really a draw engine. Um,
Right.
so I just don't think they're quite strong enough in the current game. To make it here compared to some of the very strong and honestly very independent attackers. Like even Gardevoir itself can attack and then it like accelerates as well. So um I think combining Drakloak plus Dragapult EX together is very strong. I will say you said Dragapult wasn't um so we're talking about standard, but Dragapult was played previously in standard with obviously Regidrago. And then there it
Yeah.
shined without the ability of Drakloak. It's like pretty different because it's a box style deck and it's like a different stage and a different attack cost, but the attack itself is just very, very good. And it has like pretty good support in the game, I guess. It has like the awkwardness of specifically like with regarding Gardevoir and other decks as well. I guess with Liz Clefairy EX isn't so good for it. Um, but I feel like it's quite good. And then compared to Drakloak, which is like a solid draw engine, but it's not like some insane draw engine. Like as I said, the draw engines are kind of weak right now. The other ones, I mean, we have Noctowl, we'll talk about in a second, which is solid, but but yeah, we'll talk about it as I said. And then you have like Ends and like the Dunsparce and like these kind of mediocre, not bad draw engines, but no, just not. It's not a Pokemon that really shines in my opinion.
Yeah. Getting back to the engine. You talked before. There are decks where Fezandipiti is the engine. There are lists, and I played some, and you probably played some too, where essentially the deck doesn't have an engine. The only engine is Fezandipiti.
Yeah.
And so that is a thing. And now it's not really an engine. In a certain sense, it's an engineless deck, or it's hard to classify. Here's the so cause like looking at lists, most of the times Drakloak's played, it's in a Dragapult deck. There's no denying that, but there are lists without it, in the primary Gholdengo list where it uses Drakloak for the engine, and I think it's a solid engine there, and it does give you in that and it without and sometimes they play Dragapult, but a lot of times they don't play Dragapult. They might put in one copy of Dragapult since they have the energies in the deck anyway, I think more often than not they don't play the Dragapult. But the Drakloak's not a bad single prize attacker if you're up. It takes care of Mimikyu for one thing, so it's not a terrible attack. In a deck either.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Dragapult, it's a decent
Yeah.
attack that you'll be using. I mean, it's well, I don't know if decent. It's like certainly not an attack you really want to be using outside of like Mimikyu or something. But it's not terrible. 70 is a good number to be hitting
No.
and stuff. So yeah, I like see what you're saying. I will say though, it is played more, but also that's true for most previous evolutions, right? I mean, I guess it's not true for previous evolutions where there's like different options which is looking at this
Well,
list. I think it's all of them, but if you look at trying to think of like Marty's Impidimp, the basic is played more than Marna's Grimmsnarl EX in higher counts, and theoretically, like I don't know, there's no other deck presumably would be playing it, but like there's a chance some like person just randomly tossed one in for whatever reason, but like you need to be playing the basic to play the evolution or the previous evolution. This is stage one. You don't need to be playing the stage one to play the stage two because you have rare candy. You can be playing less, but I don't know. I feel like I do understand your argument, and it is played objectively more. But again, that doesn't make it like stronger. Like it is played by itself some within Gholdengo, but also I will say that was I feel like the Gholdengo in standard now it's gotten better with Black Bolt and White Flare, which is what we're talking about. Genesect DX plus specifically Air Balloon, allowing Gholdengo EX itself to become a bigger part
yeah.
of the engine. And then you're playing less of like these other draw Pokemon.
Yeah, this is where the Drakloak's different than other pre-evolutions, attacking pre-evolutions. Because like I'm looking at lists, like a regular Dragapult list plays probably three Dragapult EXs, four Dreepies, and four Drakloaks. And other stage two attacking decks do not play four stage ones, right?
Yeah.
They were like a Charizard list. They play one stage one, maybe two, right? And if you have Pidgeot EX, which is on my list, I don't think it made your list, as I try to remember.
Yeah.
Um, Again, a lot of times you're happy to rare candy it, right? So there's a lot of stage twos that you're happy to rare candy to. Dragapult is very much the exception. You don't want to rare candy it. The other card that was like that was Gardevoir, right, with the Curlia, and that might, obviously that's not around, so it's not a consideration. But that was also a super powerful engine card, so you didn't really want to rare. You still would you might carry one rare candy just in case you had to, but you really like to get those stage ones in place. But for the most part, you're happy to skip stage ones. The Drakloak is an exception.
Yeah, I'm looking at actually my rankings as well, and I gave it a 63. So one thing is I'm gonna talk about specifically with I think one card on this list, like obviously the context matters for like that it evolves into Dragapult. I don't think we need to spend
Yeah.
too much more time on this. I'm probably being dead
No.
horse at this point, but yeah, it's an okay card. Good with the Dragapult, very very important to that deck success. But then let's talk about I guess my number 4 Pokemon here, which is Squawkabilly EX. And this
Okay.
Pokemon I actually had tied with Dragapult EX here on my rankings. With its ability Squawk and Seize here, and it was what the 9 on your list? Yeah.
Yeah, number 9. So a significant difference there, and on the third tier for me.
Yeah. And so it's a card that has an attack that's like kind of okay, I guess. But obviously it's here for its ability, Squawk and Seize, which says once during your first turn you can discard your hand to draw 6 cards. You can't use more than one of this ability during your turn, so you can use it once. I think this makes more sense as a one of than Squawk or than Fezandipiti EX. Though I think I'm definitely sure. I'm pretty sure I've seen this as a 2 of an index. I think I played as a 4 of index actually, which is like terrible. But yeah, it's like good draw on turn 1. It is only usable on turn 1, which is like obviously would be better if it was usable on other turns. Um, but there are some other cards on these lists that are mostly usable during one turn, and the first turn of the game is the most important. The other cards on that would be like Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX, which is you could use it multiple turns, but it's probably just going to be used on one turn, like probably the last turn or something like that. And then Budew as well. Budew can be used multiple turns, but it's mostly your used turn 1 going second. So Squawkabilly is
Yeah.
like being like limited on turns doesn't make it bad. Well, I mean, it would be better if it wasn't limited on turns, but it's still pretty good on for what it does. It helps you set up really well. It's definitely, in my opinion, I guess the best setup Pokemon in the game. I don't really know what the other setup Pokemon in the game are. I don't really think there are other setup Pokemon in the game that are like played. There's like Cleffa, I guess, but that's not
Right.
actually getting you set up turn 1 because you can't play any of the cards you get from it turn 1. Um, and
Oh, you know
then
what? I got the answer for the best setup Pokemon in the game, which you hate, and that's Joltik.
yeah, no, Joltik's a decent card. I don't hate Joltik. I think Joltik is a solid card. I think the deck has wacky synergy that doesn't quite work. But yeah, no, Joltik's a solid setup Pokemon. Very different than Squawkabilly EX though. But yeah, Squawkabilly is good for it's like really good for certain decks that are like very fast, which aren't as common in the game right now. I mean, there's certainly exist, but then Squawkabilly is honestly like solid for setup in any deck. It is. We were talking about liabilities. It is a liability, 160 HP, the lowest HP
Yeah.
two prizer in the game. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm like missing something. Um, that's bad, but it's not like the end of the world. Like, your opponent's probably one-shotting it if it had like 20 or 40 more HP anyways. So, you'd rather have more HP, but it is what it is. And then again, it just like sets you up so well in a way that like not really any other Pokemon does because it allows you to turn your Nest Ball or your Ultra Ball in an otherwise dead hand into a usable hand on the first turn of the game. Obviously, that doesn't always happen. You could miss it. You could be ability locked. There are lots of different things, but it is like a bailout of a bad situation and extending a good situation into an even more explosive turn 1.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna first say something good about it. Then I'm gonna say why I think you overrated it, because obviously you have it rated a lot higher. Like looking at the deck that won the Japan Championship, they had 2 copies. So decks that need it, which are turbo decks, right, to attack turn 1, take out multiple prizes, right? That like a 2 prize Pokemon turn 1. That's the decks that kind of want it, and you have to have it. You have to hit it, especially with Hisuian Heavy Ball. Then 2 copies can make sense. Not obviously not everyone's doing it, but it definitely is. It obviously it's in that list, and it can happen there. But here's the thing I don't like about it. Why? I mean, it's in my top 10, but it's 9. it's basically for one deck right now, and that's which I think was an attacker on my list that you don't have at all, and that's Raging Bolt. That's mostly what it goes into. We'll have to find out what why you were so wrong and not putting it on the list, but we'll get to that eventually. But I think it's basically an enabler for Raging Bolt, which is why I can't put Squawkabilly above Raging Bolt in my mind. Because without Raging Bolt, Squawkabilly is not a top 10 card right now in Standard.
Yeah, unlike Drakloak. No. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I get like it's definitely played in other decks though. Um, and as I said, it's for turbo decks. Mostly, it's best used with turbo decks. Those aren't well, Raging Bolt's good, but um, with other ones, it's not as they're not as like um as all over the place. But I mean, it's good. It's also played in it's played in. I have not played the new Miraidon deck, or not. Well, not the like kind of new deck with the electric or without electric. The one with the electric generator. Yes, I assume they like all play a bunch of Squawkabillies, or like a Squawkabilly because like it's a turbo deck. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. So it's also in that deck. That deck's like not super good, but that is like played some. It's plays. It's 10th on Play Limitless combining decks. So I will mention that there. So it's decently versatile. It's not played in lots of different things. It's not as like amazing, like with stage 2 decks or like evolution decks. You might get rid of a bunch of cards that you really want for later
Right.
on. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we think it's. I don't know. It is somewhat limited in its use cases, but it's very strong. Its impact on
Yeah.
games can save games for you.
Yeah, look, it's a nerf version of the Dedenne GX. Dedenne GX was like probably like the number one card, at least arguably, right? When it was around. So,
Yeah.
and it needed to get nerfed because that I imagine had a 90 plus score. And if you were doing it, you'd put it in that category. So it's very good. And when we first talked about the podcast, I said to you, there's two cards I know in the top 10. One Fezandipiti EX that's going to be the number one card, and Squawkabilly EX that's going to be my number 10 card. Now it made it 9. I didn't quite. I bumped it up from that, but I knew Squawkabilly was on the list too. So I obviously don't like it as much as some of the other cards, but it's clearly a top 10 card to me. I don't think there's any arguments about that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, you could argue it, but I don't think it would be a
Yeah.
very good argument. But then your number 4 card is another engine piece here, which is Noctowl, which I didn't have. I don't remember. I'm gonna look through my thing and I'll tell you my rating of it in a second because this
Okay.
is a big mess. But
All right. So obviously, with the ability, this is the best engine in the game right now, I would say. But it only works for certain decks, right? That's the caveat there that you have to decide, right? You search your deck for any two trainers on play. Super awesome, super awesome. So, like I said, when you do that, there's nothing better in terms of engines. So obviously, you have to have a Terra deck, Terra Pokemon. Now there are the Terra basics. So you could just play like the Teal Mask Ogrepon, which is on my honorable mention. You didn't put it at all in your top 10. That meets the Terra or something else. So it's very good. And we do have which didn't make my top 10 nor yours, but the Fan Rotom, which is but I was considering that might have been in my top 20, 25 if I was doing that. So which makes it a lot better as well. So this is the best single prize engine in the game for any deck that can use it.
yeah, even though it's below Draco. No, yeah. So Noctowl is yeah, it's pretty good. I have it as a 73 on mine. Again, it's like limited. We were also talking. You're saying Squawkabilly is limited. Noctowl's, I'd say, a similar amount of limited. In what is like played in, but Squawkabilly is theoretically more versatile than Noctowl. I don't think it's like crazy that Noctowl is here for you. I think it was like maybe Pokemon 15 for me or something like that. So I don't think it's a bad card. I agree with you that it's like the best single prize engine here, or the best engine for decks that can use it. There are some counters. There's a like Stadium. People don't really play it, but I still think
Right.
it's like kind of decent. So when you look at the engines, you see Pidgeot EX, you see Noctowl, Squawkabilly EX. There's also Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX, and there's Dunsparce as well, and the Stadium counters all those. But yeah, no, it's a good card. It's kind of reliant on I mean, like Fan Rotami is definitely good for it, but you kind of need to hit that turn one. You're like committing your searches to it. It's not like a huge issue or anything. Uh, but I kind of, if there's cards that kind of rely on each other too much, I didn't love that. Obviously they all kind of rely on each other some, but um, I think it's good. It's not setting you up turn one. You to kind of already, be set up for it. And then it allows you to pull off more like I guess kind of like fancy combos, but you can also kind of pull them off without Noctowl, or like the ones with Terra Box aren't like insane. They're just like decent, but you're not like reaching these higher levels than all the other decks. Um, so I think it's good. I don't think it's comparing it to, of course, the Inteleon engine of the early Sword and Shield era. That was a similar kind of engine, except it was more versatile and I'd say safer. I'd say like and generally what you want from an engine is it to be able to help you when you're in a bad position, like Fezandipiti EX does. If you're just knocked out, once you put down to a low hand, it gets you out of that. Noctowl does not do that. If you're put down to a low hand, like if you're here with Iono, Noctowl is presumably not getting you out of it because you probably don't have it. So it's not an onboard draw engine, so it has some issues there, but I do think it is good, enabling some very strong stuff, but it's not bailing out of those bad situations.
That's true. You have to be set up, right? You're kind of setting up your previous turn to take advantage of it, and then, in a sense, pushing it over the top, right? So that's a fair argument against it. The other argument against it, which I'm arguing with myself here, but it is another card that's in Raging Bolt for the most part. Looking at the plays looking at the Squawkabilly plays, it was played, I'd say, 75 to 80% in Raging Bolt decks. Noctowl is like 90%, maybe higher than that in Raging Bolt decks. So a few other decks use it, but basically Raging Bolt Ogerpon has been using it, right? So and it uses it well, but you can argue against it. Maybe I'm overvaluing it, but like I said, it is when with the right deck, it's the best engine in the game, right? So
Yeah.
obviously Drakloak, that's the engine that kind of gets you out of a jam when you need it. Though.
Yeah, and same thing with the Enzork EX as well, which I think is like good. I don't think it's great. Actually, no, I have that tied with Noctowl. That is an attacker as well. And it's decent. I'm not sure. I've played it some. It's like it's cool. It's not insane. But anyways, you've been talking a lot about Raging Bolt though, so you have it here. I don't. I will say it was pretty close for me. It was like a few spots away. I think it would have been my number 12 card here. But I don't know. I just well, I don't think I'm gonna say I definitely don't think it's better than Gholdengo. So we'll talk about that in a second. But Raging Bolt here is your 5 card.
Yeah, look, I like Gholdengo more than Ranger Bolt, so my personal bias is towards Gholdengo. But look, it's the poster for big basic attacking decks right now, right? It's 240 HP, so that's a nice HP for a basic Pokemon. It doesn't have weakness unless someone's playing, you know what I mean, that
The
EX
Clefairy,
that
yeah.
Clefairy, and then you have to be playing a psychic deck, so which Gardevoir obviously sees play, but not a lot of other things there. And then it's 70 damage per energy you discard. It scales really well. So and I think once the megas come out, Raging Bolt will continue to do well. Maybe it'll even move up because it will hit the mega numbers easier than most decks out there. So it's big basic turbo deck. It's an appealing type of deck, that type of thing, and it just does it really well, right? It's you just want to go and just start smacking away. You don't want to take. I'm not, I haven't played the bit. Probably the argument is, do you want to go first or second? Because it kind of wants to go second in attack, but you also need to take two. You want to take 2 prizes every turn. So maybe, that was always the debate. Do I hang off a turn so that I can sort of guarantee myself 2 prizes, which makes things better. But look, it's big basic turbo. They're popular. They're good, and this is the deck for that right now.
I guess. I mean, it is the deck for it, but it's like definitely the deck for it. I don't think there's really other. I mean, I guess there's like Joltik Fox, but my thoughts on that. And it's like
you got
pretty
Miraidon Box.
You have Miraidon
right?
Box as well, but you didn't talk about Miraidon Box when you're talking about Squawkabilly. Um, so like I don't know. I feel like Raging Bolt. Yes, it is like the best big basic deck. It's a little different as well. I feel like big basic decks, usually when you talk about them, you talk about them like they're hitting like mediocre damage. And this is not. I mean, it's taking one shots.
Right.
It's one of the 2 one shot. Well, no, the Gardevoir one shots. Yeah, Raging Bolt one shots, Gholdengo one shots. But Gardevoir doesn't always like one. Gardevoir is like kind of a weird deck in general, but Raging Bolt like is doing one shots. It's like I'd say vulnerable to disruption with like if you're relying on Noctowl, especially as I was saying, like that's vulnerable to disruption.
Yeah.
You need a combo, and comparing it to Gholdengo here, Gholdengo has draw within itself, which is really nice. Also, you can I don't know. I was to say you can do like less damage. You can like not take one shots, and that can be okay. That's like not great. It's kind of bad for both of them, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a decent card. I think it's a good card. It can lead to like really powerful turn one knockouts, but also again, the turn one you're probably not taking two prizes, so you're not necessarily setting yourself up in the perfect position. It's not like bad, but it's not necessarily always like amazing. So I think Raging Bolt is decent. Um, I don't know. I don't think it's like I want to talk about. I don't know if you have more to say about Raging Bolt, but if you can't tell, I want to talk about
Well,
Gholdengo.
yeah, I mean, here's what I'll say. It relies on a lot of pieces that are all really good, which is your argument against, right? Raging Bolt is a very good deck. I would stand by that. It's a top deck,
Yeah.
but it wants a Noctowl, very good card. It's not in your top 10, but you'd say it's a very good card. It
Yeah, I
relies on
don't know if like
Squawkabilly,
I'd say Raging Bolt's moving away from Noctowl some, but still
maybe.
playing it some.
It wants Squawkabilly EX, very good card, and it probably wants Teal Mask Ogerpon, very good card, right? So Reachable's good, but it's using a lot of good pieces. But of course, other attacking decks can't use such a variety of good cards, which is part of Raging Bolt's strength.
Yeah. It's a good card. But Gholdengo, in my opinion,
Yeah,
is just a lot better. Which is honestly, again, Raging Bolt was pretty close to making the list for me. But Gholdengo is a card that also takes one shots. I'd say it takes I'd say it's a little easier, but it is an evolution here. So I'd say that's like kind of neutral. But then it has coin bonus, which coin bonus is okay. But well, sorry, it was okay, but now it's really good. Gholdengo, in my opinion, is I think definitely I think it's the best deck in the game. Because you have the Genesect DX to search for Pokemon. Oh, I also did
yeah,
ask my community what like cards were like in the top 10. A few people, or I think one person said Genesect DX, which is a good card. I don't think it's top 10 because it's like somewhat niche and certainly not the most important card in Gholdengo. But it's a very strong card still. For Gholdengo, well, it's strong. It turns your Nest Balls into like Ultra Balls kind of, so that's very good. And it gets your Gholdengo setup even easier than it was before, which was like moderately easy. Not the end of the world, but not like getting them up for essentially free. But Gholdengo EX, then you can draw two cards with one in the active, and you can use Air Balloon to get multiple in the active to be drawing more cards throughout the course of the game as well. And out of those like situations where opponent hits you with Iona or something like that, or you like really need something to win the game, you could draw extra cards through Gholdengo. So I think it's just like it does some of the similar stuff Raging Bull does, except it does it with a draw engine on top of it. Gholdengo it's just kind of like the full package here. Obviously, again, relies somewhat on the support around it. It doesn't like entirely rely on the support around it, but with the support around it, it becomes within itself even better.
yeah. Look, it's got the engine, and in one sense, it's kind of. I think it's fair to kind of compare it to Raging Bolt. They're two the attackers that scale really well for big damage, right? And they're based around energies. They function slightly differently. Goldengo's got the engine built into it. Of course, it's an evolution, so that's kind of what Gholdengo as a basic would be too good. So, and actually, I think the new Genesect EX is better than you're saying. I didn't put it on my list. When I put together like my initial list of like 30, 40 considerations, Genesect was definitely on that list. Because it's better than two Ultra Balls, is what I was going to say. Because I don't have to discard 4 cards to get 2 Gholdengo EXs, right? I need 2 Ultra Balls in hand plus 4 other cards to discard to get that, and you can rarely do that. So, and it is your engine. You just want to get these Gholdengos out quick. If you can get 3 Gholdengos into play pretty early in the game, you're now pretty good. Now the disruption factor. Yes, you're still drawing if you get Iona to a small hand, but the problem is late game because it's the factor is 50. You need a lot of the right set of pieces in your hand to pull off the big knockout late game, and that's kind of the tricky part with the deck. I like Gholdengo. but you need to get the right energy recovery cards in order to make it happen. And if you're gonna get, getting that together late game is a little tricky. That's to me the weak spot to Gholdengo is that can you get the big attack late game? Right, because early game you have the A spec to get all those energies in hand, which right, the one that you get energy of every type. That's awesome for the deck. Late game you're using the
Superior energy.
superior
Yeah.
energy retrieval. So you need a couple of one or two of those too often, right? If you need to get to the plus 300 damage, and so you need to get the right pieces late game. That's the weak part of the deck, I think, but it's still very good.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I do think it is also kind of true for Pidgeot. Well, you need Size Vitality, presumably, like every turn,
Yeah,
which is also a supporter, so you can't use a supporter to find it. And then you also need other stuff. You need energies to
yeah,
get on your like TMS Ogre Pod EXs, so another one on your Raging Ball. So you need some other pieces as well. I'd say it's like a similar difficulty there. I think like the reason you could argue Gholdengo is the main reason you could argue Gholdengo is worse than Raging Ball is there's an evolution. But I mean, yeah, they're both good cards here.
yeah.
Then I have my number 6 card here though, which is Budew, which is in your honorable mentions. Is it honorable mention 1 or honorable mention 2?
They're not ranked. They're
Okay.
just both honorable mentions. So
Okay, so Budew is a good card. Obviously, it has the attack here, Itchy Pollen, which item locks your opponent for free. It also does 10. It does free retreat, which is good, but it has 30 HP. Budew's been talked about a lot. It's good. It's like very good against Rare Candy. It's like really good against like Charizard EX. Like slowing that one down, that deck down. There's a lot of counterplay to it. You could argue. I'd say that the fact that there is a lot of counterplay to, or that people are playing a lot of counters. I don't know if counters is the right term, but like things that can be used to adapt to Budew, like Brock Scouting or something like that. These like supporters that to fill the role that items would traditionally fill are actually cards that are like showing the strength of Budew, but they like in the game they show like you can get around it. Um, but yeah, Badew's good. It's a card that is never like the main focus of a deck, and it's something that mostly like it slows the game down. Well, it like just slows the game down. Um, Generally it like helps you, but like attack with it over and over again doesn't give you that much value. Generally, I wouldn't say like you want to kind of get ahead of your opponent in this setup phase, and then be able to like continue from there. But Badoo's just like helping you again on one turn, and it's meaningful, but it isn't always meaningful. Again, sometimes your opponent just has those supporters to get what they need, and then you've done a turn attacking and done essentially nothing. Just kind of like done 10 damage, slow them down like a little, but like they could get out of it. So it's, I don't know if risky is the right term. I mean, you might just end up doing like turn one going second. What exactly are you going to be doing? That'd be better than that. Something like a Joltik or TM Evolution is quite good, but I do think that Budew is a strong card. It's like because I'm the one here defending it. I'm not like the biggest Budew fan. Um, but it's a card that is also very versatile. Which is good. So it can be tossed in as a one up in like any deck, and it's not really. I mean, it's like very low HP. It's gonna get knocked out, but it has free retreat, so it's not gonna get stuck, and it's only on one prizer, so it's not like a huge liability. I guess I don't know. You could say it's a pretty big liability with its HP, but it's a Pokemon that is, I say, like a Pokemon that can be tossed into anything. It is tossed into a lot of different things, and it's really annoying to have to deal with. I'd say it's more annoying than it is good, but it is still very good.
yeah, it's annoying. With Dragapult and other spread things like Marty's Grimmsnarl EX, right, that 30 HP liability is a problem. Now, against something like Marnie's Grimmsnarl, Shaman protects it, which was close. That was close to my top 10. I'll just throw that Pokemon out there, but didn't make the list. It's Badoo's mainly used, I think, evolution-based attacking decks, right? Dragapult, Gardevoir,
Not Gholdengo, but
Gholdengo.
yeah, huh?
A little bit. I mean,
Is it?
sometimes it's in Raging Bolt because they really want to get a multi-prize attack, but it's usually Charizard, right? Those evolution decks that you can attack with Budew, just to slow down your opponent while you're setting up your bench and get your attackers going. It is used here in a Frostlass Munkidori deck, so which we'll be getting to Munkidori later on. So therefore, you kind of do want to spam potentially Budews in a deck like that if one wants to go that route. But that's that's a dicey game to play, I'd say.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Budew, I don't think there's too much to talk about. Well, there is lots to talk about, but we're not going to talk about it because it's
Yeah.
been talked about like so much here. But it's
Yeah.
good. It's not like it's been better at times. I think people are. It's one of those cards which, again, it's like super annoying. So I think it's a little overrated. Because people remember games, and also the games where it's really good are longer games. So
Yeah.
you kind of those stick with you. It's certainly a good card. But I think it's not like
Yeah.
super broken.
No, I mean the quick conclusion: decks have adapted to it, right? Because you can, with a couple cards, fix the Budew situation for most decks. So but the fact that forced these decks to change, it is a very powerful card. So I give you that for sure. So where do we go into next here?
Let's go to, I guess, Bloodmoon Ursaluna EX, which I have at 7, you have at 8. This card, with this ability plus its attack, you can do 240. It's cheap as the game goes on, so it's a really good
Yeah.
finisher. Its stats are very good. It's able to one-shot Pokemon like Fezandipiti EX or whatever 2 prizes your opponent has. You want to kind of get that down to finish off your opponent's to take your last 2 prizes and just win the game. Even outside that, if you're not taking one shots, it's like still very good stats at the end of the game, being high HP for a basic here, and having like pretty good damage. Again, for cheap, it depends exactly when it is during the game. Obviously, you don't want to use it at the very beginning, but even in like the mid game, it can be used depending what you're playing. But yeah, mostly as like a finisher in a variety of different attacks. I think it's a card I do like. In some ways, you could say it has similarities to Budew, which is kind of a weird comparison, but stick with me here. It's a card that it's like
Okay.
a one of basic attack, and also a good attack for free. And it's like really good on one turn, but again, only good on one turn. And it is good on the last turn. I'd say it's better on the last turn than Budew is on like the first turn. But Budew, like the first turn is like way more important than the last turn. Well, I guess you could say the last turn is the most important because that's when
Well,
you win or lose. But Budew is like you can really stop your opponent before things get set up. Little Ursaluna EX is not going to be that. It's going to be there to be that clutch Pokemon to finish things out. But it does a good job at that.
yeah, I mean, Bloodmoon Ursaluna is the one attacking Pokemon that is versatile in a lot of decks, right? All the other attackers that we each have
Well, Budew
are
is it's not a damaging attacker.
it's not
It's
really an
different.
attacker. You're attacking with it, but it's a support Pokemon of essentially, I would say, right? It's not you're not taking knockouts with it, right?
Yeah, no. Except sometimes
So
on other Budews.
yeah, those exciting games, which is probably why people hate Budew, right? Where Budew's hitting into Budew for a bit. So, right, but our blood boosts are at 240, a very nice damage number, 260 HP, very high HP for a basic. So, yeah, it's just a very, it's not the most interesting card. Obviously, the ability is good that you can attack with no energy late game or one energy as the game's getting late. So, yeah, just very good and goes into a lot of decks, which I like.
Then you have Pidgeot EX in your 7 spot. Mine's
Yeah.
it's a little lower. Well, I don't have it on my list. It's just outside of it for me. I think it's 13 or something. But yeah, I think it's good. I actually have it above Noctowl, which to me seems like a little weird. I think I might change that later on. But yeah.
Yeah, Pidgeot EX. I was very unsure about that. Right, it was definitely in when I pulled together my 30, 40 cards to start with. It was definitely there. Had to be in that list. There was a period in time when Pidgeot EX would have been easy top 10 for both of us, and probably high top 10, I think. But its play has fallen off a lot. The ability is still really good, so I think people probably should be taking a little more advantage of it than they are, right? Searching for any one card, super awesome. You still need other cards though. I would say you want to play Pidgeot plus some other engine that draws you cards, because late game, if you could Iono to one, just getting then you draw a card, you search for one card, you probably don't have what you need to pull off that knockout at the end of the game. So you need a little bit bigger engine than that, but it's super awesome. 280 HP is not bad. It's got free retreat, so that's a plus there. It's just very good. It's still very good. All right, is what I'd say. But it is to me, I put it on the third tier. It was to me, it was in the top 10. It was on the third tier. I could have slid it lower. I could have put it below Blood Moon or something. I could have put it below Squawkabilly EX certainly. I would put it above Charizard, but we'll get to Charizard later on. So with that, but it's to me it's low top 10 somewhere in the mix where I like where I'm happy where I put it. You think it's a little outside the top 10? That's not unreasonable, I guess.
Yeah, it's like it's very strong when set up. It is a stage 2, so in order to get it set up, you take commit resources to it. I think I mostly see it in Charizard. I just playing other stuff, but um Pidgeot, like, because you're multiple stage twos, you want a rare
Yeah.
candy. Also, again, the Budew thing that's like kind of bad for it. But you like use your rare candy plus potentially like an Ultra Ball to get Pidgeot EX set up, and then instead of your Charizard, which is like kind of sketchy, then it does immediately pay off. Get like return one of those cards essentially because you can get any card out of your deck here. Can run out of rare candies with it theoretically, depending exactly what you're playing, but no, it's really good. I was talking about like cards, engines getting you out of bad hands. Pidgeot gets anything, right? So if you need a card to
Yeah.
win the game, it'll get that card. There's a card where there's it like does what it does. There's not that much counterplay to it. I mean, your opponent could knock it out, but usually it's like accompanied by some powerful attacker. And it's not like I mean it's weak for stage 2 EX, but compared to um like these other Pokemon, like Gholdengo is not like considered like a weak Pokemon, I wouldn't say. Um,
Right.
and Pidgeot does more HP than it, right? So, Pidgeot
Yeah.
theoretically weak, but like it's not that bad. And having free is really nice. So it's a Pokemon that is like really really solid. But also it's just not like really a main engine in the game right now. But it's definitely it's a good card.
Yeah, I mean the argument against it, the usage of Pidgeot EX has fallen off a lot, and I don't know that it's going to be picking up. Um, with these new cards as people figure things out. But like I said, it's still really good. So, it's on my list.
Yeah. Then my number 8 card I have here is Latias EX, which I think is very good. I know you did not really like this card when it was first revealed, and I think you're still not a huge fan of it. Oh, how good do you think it is?
Yeah, maybe I should. I can. You can make arguments for being top 10 card. Obviously, basic Pokemon have no retreat cost. That's really good. Um, there's a lot of switching cards in the game, though. That's the kind of the argument against it, right? We have Switch, we have Pressature's Scenario,
Air
and now
Balloon.
we have Air Balloon. So, with Air Balloon now, that definitely to me takes it down in terms of importance. You want it with basic decks, right? And I'll say it once again. You want it in like a deck like Raging Bolt, right? That's really what wants it because these evolution based decks, they're not going to probably get enough value out of it. So it is kind of a big base, an attacking basic deck that wants it. I would think so.
Yeah, well, I will say, like I've seen Dragapult some. Well, I've seen it in Dragapult list. I don't think I've played against it. Like, I'd seen it play down a Dragapult really, but Dragapult or really any evolution deck, usually it only has like one evolution, which is the main attacker, except for like Gardevoir, but Gardevoir is different.
Yeah.
Um, but if you have like Dragapult EX or Charizard EX, you probably want that in the active, right? So then, if you can just use a lot of SCX to get your other stuff out. That being said, like how many other Pokemon are you looking to retreat? And as you said, like the value isn't necessarily there, but it's not really a liability. It's like kind of sort of a liability, but it's not like that bad. I mean, we're talking about Fezandipiti, so it's kind of the same. Um, then you also have I don't know, it like gets your Fezandipiti out, you can get different things out, can conserve energy, can be really important at certain points in the game, and is easier to search out than those other switch options as well. So I think it works. It's a very good card. As you said, like basics aren't. I think I was saying this that basics aren't like the best attacking Pokemon, and there aren't like that many all basic decks in the game that are like super good. But I think it's like pretty versatile. I don't think it's like insane. But I definitely do think it is top 10 here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I put it a little outside the top 10, but what it is, it's a support Pokemon. Obvious, it's a support for only certain types of decks, though. The other support Pokemon we have are Fezandipiti and Squawkabilly, and their support for any deck, right? It's kind of in some ways like Noctowl, right? Support, but for certain types of decks, right? So that's where I knock it down a little bit, but of course I did put Noctowl on my list, so. Um, how much do you like the deck? Part of it's like the personal opinion of how much do you like the type of deck that likes to run Latias EX, right?
Yeah.
And I find those decks a little less appealing than you do probably, um, and therefore I downplay Latias a little bit because of that, which isn't necessarily fair.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I feel like that's actually. I feel like you do like the decks that play Latias more than me, though.
That's
You like
true.
basic decks. But anyways,
Yeah.
Latias is good. The next card we have here, I think if we done, we've hit all of them except for Charizard. We'll skip Munkidori. I imagine I'm gonna get comments on this video because that are like, why is Munkidori so low? Um, and if someone like comments that and then like doesn't like watch it and like doesn't care, that I'm gonna be annoyed. But anyways, yeah, Munkidori is good. I get comments that people were like said that it was like crazy that it wasn't in the top 10 cards. I did a top 10 cards where they were pretty much all trainers. I think at Fezandipiti and a bunch of trainers. And people were like, why isn't Munkidori on this list? Munkidori is the best card. Munkidori is not the best card. But anyways, we'll talk about that in a second. Um, I can rant. We can rant about Munkidori, but Charizard. Let's talk about that first. That's both our number
Okay.
10 cards here. Charizard EX, Infernal Rain powers itself up, as well as other stuff here. Like whatever. No, I'm just looking at the ones here, but like
Like
you
your
have some Pokemon.
Dragapult?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking as something to retreat out, some other like
Okay.
basic. But yeah, like you can power up Dragapult to attack with, or something else like that. But mostly I think it's used for itself. That's why I like it. It's able to do big damage at the end of the game, decent damage at the middle game. I think to me, it's definitely a better Pokemon than Mars Grimmsnarl EX. Mars Grimmsnarl EX is honestly, I think in terms of like decks, they're similar. But Charizard EX can do more damage. So I say they're very similar. Charizard EX does like less damage early on, but like it does the same active damage. It doesn't have the snipe damage, but then it's doing like huge damage at the end of the game. Um, and so that's really nice. It's like very just like self-sufficient. You don't need other stuff around it. And yeah, I mean it's just very strong, good HP, good damage. It just like checks all the boxes of a good Pokemon to have in play. But it was like kind of annoying for it. I'm not gonna deny that. And this weakness is being targeted because you have Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX, Charizard EX, and also I do stand by that Cynthia's Garchomp EX, a decent deck. I didn't actually rate the Cynthia's cards at the moment. I didn't rate all the cards that are like decent but not top 10. Um, but yeah, those two decks all weak to grass, so that's like Charizard kind of caught in that like mix. And we're gonna I guess talk a little bit. I don't know if we'll talk about Ogerpon, but that is a Pokemon that's like floating around that not amazing for Charizard, but I mean you trade evenly anyways, presumably. So um, not the end of the world there.
Right. I mean, the one that I think Charizard doesn't like to see is one that probably is somewhere in the 15 to 20 range for me, and that's the Iron Leaves, right? Because that's
So
if you have a deck that can attack with that, that's really good to just wipe out Charizards.
yeah, I guess yeah.
Well, right. It one shots it.
It does. It does.
Um,
I don't think it's. I definitely don't think it's 15 to 20. I don't think I ranked it, but I
Maybe
mean
not.
it's decent. I mean, especially played in Joltik Box, right? Or it's played in Raging Volt.
Yeah, I forget. I've put in some other things too. Here's the problem with Charizard. First, Charizard's a great Pokemon. Like if it was in a vacuum, Charizard would be probably higher up than it is because I
Yeah.
think the HP, the way the damage scales, the energy acceleration, the energy three energies accelerated is still too much. I mean, honestly, that should be nerfed. They never. I think that's just crazy. But it is what it is. The problem with the Charizard is it's not really played as its own deck anymore. It is now a Dragapult support Pokemon these
Um.
days, right?
Well, I'd say with Black Bolt White
Look,
Flare, I think I've noticed it being played more as its own deck. Like looking at Play Limitless here, um, Charizard Pidgeot's the ninth most played deck in the game.
okay,
And then Charizard Duststorm is the 16th most played deck in the game. There was, the sets like quite new or sets that what how do I what's the plural of sets? I don't know. Um, but anyways, yeah. So both sets they're new, and so there's not as much data, but like Charge is being played a bunch.
yeah.
Combining it, it's the sixth most played deck in the game, which is quite good. So it's played on its own some, and I think we all think it's decent on its own, good on its own.
Yeah, and we both think it's good. We both put it at 10, so clearly so top 10, but lower top 10. It was higher in the past.
Yeah,
That's the one point I would say. And I think we would agree, and probably the listeners will as well. It was better. It's not quite as good as it was, but it's still very good.
yeah. I'd say like Dragapult's certainly regarded as arguably the top deck for quite a while now. Over like the past, I don't know, it's a year. I don't know if that's the right time frame, but since for a while, Dragapult's been like a true top deck. Um, Before that, Charizard was in that position as a true top deck there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Charizard very good. Then let's talk about Munkidori. So I want to hear your thoughts on Munkidori. I ranted about it a little bit, but not really today. He didn't really break it down
So
yet. But
Munkidori, actually the attack's really annoying, right?
it is annoying.
You're people don't you know if you can attack with it because you get confused, and I don't play Munkidori a lot, but when I play against it, it's the when I attack is when it usually gives more grief. Because look, it's good. You have to be able to attach a darkness energy to it, which for a lot of which is why we've talked about it offline and maybe in the podcast too. Like, why would you play it in Gholdengo? Because you have to usually you're attaching to Gholdengo on your turn. Yes, you could play Crispin, but you don't really want to in Gholdengo. Um, the other thing is, so first you have to have an extra energy attachment, which I think there's one deck that does make sense for it. I'll get to that second. The other thing is you have to have damage counters on your Pokemon, on your opponent, on your Pokemon, and depending on your deck, I think games don't stream that way, right? So if you have a nice deck and you're just smacking through your opponents, unless you're playing Frostlass, you don't always have damaged Pokemon. And if you put Frostlass with Munkidori, it's a thing, but that's a lot of resources. So that's a very different deck. So a lot of times you can't attach the energy, or you don't have a Pokemon that's been damaged by your opponent. And obviously your opponent knows you have Munkidori, so they're kind of playing around it. And that's the difficulty with Munkidori, I'd say.
Yeah, force your opponent to play around it is always going to be like a value to a card, but it's not like obviously it would be better if they couldn't play around it at all. But then, yeah, Munkidori, I will say, you talked about it, you mentioned Frostlass, so it's good with Frostlass and Mario Scrimshaw EX. There, it's not like the main Pokemon in the deck, but it is still very meaningful and very impactful. And in Gardevoir EX as well. Gardevoir EX is very good. The only awkward part is that it's like a different energy type, but it's so strong, being able to get extra damage and also, healing can be meaningful. It kind of depends because you kind of want your damage counters on your Pokemon, but you're certainly going to have excess damage counters. I mentioned like retreating, I think, some with Gardevoir EX, with its ability using that to retreat. Then you'll have excess damage counters, then you can use Munkidori to do more damage. Munkidori is certainly not the main Pokemon in either of those decks. The main attacker or the main Stage 2 EX is way more important than Munkidori, but Munkidori is still meaningful there. I don't think it's really good in many other decks. So I'll say I'm going to the Pittsburgh regional. Excited for that. My first regional, which probably won't go so well. But and I bought 2 decks for that. I bought because I mostly play online. I bought Gholdengo EX and I bought Cynthia's Garchomp EX. My two favorite decks right now. And I did not buy Munkidori. I did not consider buying Munkidori for that because and then people play Munkidori in Gholdengo. People play it in Cynthia's. It's like not good in either of those decks. Okay, I will say so. Uncommon Fossil, you play Gholdengo, right? And you like Raging Bolt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love Gholdengo, and I enjoy Raging Bolt, and I do not play. I played a lot of Gholdengo. I played Munkidori in a little bit because people were doing it, and I was almost never getting value out of the Munkidori. We were just one-shotting each other throughout the game. I didn't have any energy attachments per turn usually. And with like the gimme ghouls and stuff, that's what's going on your bench, not Munkidoris as well. And I often sometimes play a single prize engine as well. So
yeah, so Munkidori, but with Gholdengo and Raging Bolt, those are decks that are one-shotting decks. So you're gonna like not really notice Munkidori's ability that much. It won't like come into play except for within Gardevoir and Marnie's. Where again it's like solid. You're doing some extra damage, which is good. Doing extra damage, but it is an energy attachment, so it's like I'd say it's like fair there. Pretty solid, but you are like seeing because I do some decks that have lower damage output at times. And those like get really destroyed by Munkidori, but usually those decks like aren't very good. I'd say you look at Munkidori and something like Dragapult. Munkidori is good against spread damage. It kind of like counters that, which is kind of nice. But again, it is the attachment. So, but within Gholdengo, you have like the issue of if you're getting one-shotted, Munkidori is terrible because you can't get the energy on and you won't have the damage to move. So it doesn't do anything. If you aren't getting one-shotted though, then you do have the turn, and then you do have you have the turn to get the energy on Munkidori, and you also have the turn to then you'll have damage. So you can do damage. You're not really looking to do a little bit of extra damage with Munkidori though. You could just have the energy in your hand and do 50 more damage. So it's like not that meaningful still there. But then also in Cynthia's Garchomp EX, I don't think it's not regarded as an amazing deck, but it's like I do believe it is. It's like pretty solid. it will get better in the next. I've said that. I'm still saying that. I don't think that's a hot take. But anyways, Cynthia's is a deck that Cynthia's Spiritomb is very good. I think that's super underrated. In my opinion, the only advantage of Munkidori in Cynthia's is that you're able to play Darkness, or you play Darkness Energies, and then you can use Crispin, and that can allow you to use your second attack there, which you actually wouldn't use the Darkness Energies for, but you need them in your deck to actually play the Crispin. And like Munkidori could be useful from time to time, but also you kind of want to use Cynthia's Spiritomb where you do more damage with damage on your bench Pokemon. And like, I don't know, I could kind of see value in Munkidori, but also you want lots of bench spots like build up kind of for your Cynthia's Roserades, which is meaningful. And it's 30 extra damage, which is like what Munkidori is. And also your Cynthia's Gigabytes, which get your Pokemon set up. And so, then if you're playing Cynthia's Spiritomb, then you have like, you probably have like 2 or 3 Garchomp lines, 2 or 3 Roserade lines, and then the Spiritomb, something like that. And so then you don't have room for Munkidori. You don't have the extra energy. Energy is definitely an issue within that deck. So yeah, Munkidori has a spot. If you look at something like Dragapult, it's played a lot in Dragapult. It's okay in Dragapult. You can survive hits sometimes. You don't really have that much extra energy, though, I will say. So it's like kind of sketchy, but you are doing spread damage, so it has some value in Munkidori or in Dragapult.
Yeah.
But I think it's like niche there. I definitely have seen people. I don't know how many Munkidors are people playing on average. I think it's like 2. I'm not sure. I'm gonna check. It's like 1. I think it might have risen some. And people playing like Luminous Energy, which like Luminous Energy is like kind of good, but it does have downsides. People aren't exploiting the downsides, but I think they kind of can start doing that. If they play like Crushing Hammers or Enhanced Hammers, now all of a sudden, well, Luminous doesn't matter about Crushing Hammer, but you're not gonna be able to get the energies on your board. So, you know, oh wait, this is a Charizard build. Let me look at the not Charizard build. Yeah, so this is still running on, I guess, average 1. It's like 1.5. But yeah, then you're like using a lot of luminous energies and like lots of special energies and not energy acceleration. So then you're gonna kind of struggle to get your Munkidori's up. And then if your opponent one-shots you, it's bad. And one-shotting your opponent is really good in the game, like obviously. So Munkidori is not a bad card, though. Munkidori is not a bad card. It is a card that is decent. It's good for Gardevoir. It's good for Marnies. Those are good decks.
Yeah.
It's not insane. It's not the most important Pokemon, but it is meaningful there. And there's a lot of support Pokemon on this list, so it is meaningful. That's quite a bit of a rant there, but yeah, I hear people say it's amazing, and then they usually say it's amazing because it's like broken in Gardevoir and Marnies, and like good in Dragapult, which it's not broken in Gardevoir and Marnies. It's like solid, decent, good. And then it's like all right in other decks. It's okay, but it's not a meta-defining card, I would not say. Well, it kind of is because
No.
people are playing it a lot, but I wouldn't say in terms of power it is.
Yeah, and I don't know that. I mean, I don't know if it's played a lot or not, but I see it. I don't know. I don't see it most games, but look, it's good in Gardevoir because you can attach to it. Because you don't need to. It has, if you can get the attachment, it's very good in Dragapult because the way Dragapult works, the spread moving 30 is good, and you don't have weakness, so you shouldn't be getting one shot. The deck I think it has the most value in is the Marnie's Grimmsnarl because you're playing the Darkness Energies already, and you're powering yourself up, so you have free energy attachments there. And I would probably then play it with Frostlass as well. I would think in Munkidori, and make life difficult for my opponent. So I think that's the best use case for it. But once you kind of narrow it down, then it just limits how high a ranking I give it.
Yeah. I will. I've seen people in live. I've seen like a lot of Munkidori in live. And just in general, I've seen people not attached to their Dragapult to get their energy on their Munkidori. Like that's super bad. Like just attack. It's way more important to attack than to get your Munkidori off. And if you have lots of extra attachments, that's good. But you're already like winning in that situation probably. So then you don't really need the Munkidori anyways.
Yeah, or you miss your attack with your Dragapult, and that's a bigger problem. So, yeah. So let me just hit a couple Pokemon here because I know we're going long here. So I had honorable mention the TMS Ogerpon. It's a very good engine. It's kind of a half engine because you're drawing one card, right? It gets energies in play, so that's why a deck like Raging Bolt that wants the energies, it has a lot of value. But you need a bunch of Ogerpons in play if you want to make it, quote, an engine. So, and you need a lot of energies in deck too, which makes the deck a little less consistent potentially, but it can be good in some decks. The other, I had 4 quick cards. We mentioned most of these. So Genesect EX, very good. These are kind of my next 4 for me outside of this. Shaman, which I'd mentioned in passing, right, for bench protection because there's a lot of evolution based decks, so protecting the pre-evolutions important there. Marnie's Grimmsnarl I think is good, and then the one Pokemon which haven't mentioned is another one of the Ogrepon's Cornerstone Mask Ogrepon because it's just very versatile, right? With that ability to prevent damage done from Pokemon with ability, it's splashed into a lot of decks. It's one fighting, 2 colorless, so you can just slap in a colorless a fighting energy, and then you can potentially power it up with your other energies in the deck. So, it has value, and it is splashable.
Yeah. I have a few others here to quickly mention. Dusknoir, a very strong card, potentially.
Yes.
But like it requires setup. But it's a good card. It was my 11 card here.
Yep.
I have Mew EX as well, which is versatile. It's not the level of these other Pokemon here, but it is versatile and pretty solid. And then you also have Mimikyu, a nice walling Pokemon. Mimikyu's not played that much, but I think it's still a very good card. We look at like all the decks we talked about, I think would get like Mimikyu's like bad for them. I will say Munkidori is like good against Mimikyu. I've never heard that argument when someone's talking about saying why Munkidori is good. I don't think, because again, people don't play Mimikyu, and anyways, but Mimikyu I think is good. But yeah, some other like good Pokemon. There are other good Pokemon we didn't mention as well. But I'm pretty like I think we got like I feel like fine with both of our top 10s here. The Drakloak thing is kind of to make a point, right? But
it is. Look, you probably put Dragapult, but I think the Drakloak's really important in Dragapult. Like I said, and Drakloak is a little more versatile. You'd give me that point.
Yeah, no, Drakloak's good. It's versatile. I agree with your points.
Yeah. But yeah, probably Dragapult is what would belong there instead to be a more reasonable list. But yeah, our lists are a little different, but the differences aren't extreme. There are probably a few cards that we really haven't mentioned. Like I think we very briefly mentioned Enzorark. So let us know in the comments those Pokemon that maybe are bottom of top 10 that we didn't mention. I maybe you think something's even high top 10 we didn't mention. I don't think that's the case, but there could be like a low top 10 candidates that we didn't discuss because there's a couple more good Pokemon out there that we didn't get to.
Yeah. Wait. So where is Munkidori on your list? Where would you say like top 20? Or is it not?
I might put it low top 20, I guess. I honestly, I probably would. Well, I put Genesect.
Yeah.
Marnie's, I had Munkidori. It's in the mix to me with the Shaman, Genesect, Marnie's Grimmsnarl, Cornerstone, Mask Ogrepon. It's comparable to those, so it's in the teens somewhere, I'd say.
Okay. But anyways, we hope you enjoyed the episode here. Make sure you check us out on YouTube or on podcasting platforms. We do have this on podcasting platforms like Spotify and other ones. And then we also are on YouTube, youtube.com/@10types or Uncommon Fossil. You can comment on, we have the podcast uploaded both places, both channels, so you can comment on YouTube. Don't comment on a podcasting platform because we unfortunately will not see it because of the way it's set up. But yeah, and if you want a specific person to see it, make sure you comment on that person's YouTube channel. And also make sure you subscribe, like the podcast. Leave a review. Is that a thing on podcasting platforms? Do all that good stuff. And as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.